Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk episode number 5. For the purpose of having an amazing thumbnail, I am forced to wear this hat again. This is the new me, okay? The new beginning. This is the winter hat Sasha. Or whatever it is that you want to consider this, but basically, we will be wearing this hat, okay? This is my unique selling point now, the hat on the thumbnail. Anyway, today's episode will be about something very interesting, and I actually discovered this idea from a video I saw by Brian Tracy. I will link his socials, and if I can find the video, I will link the video in the description so you guys can check that out as well. Very interesting. But the video was about a concept called the law of accumulation. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is the law of accumulation? The law of accumulation is a very powerful principle that is fundamentally rooted in everybody's success. It essentially states that success is not a result of a big jump or one action that leads to an incredible amount of progress, but rather the cumulative effect of small, unseen, consistent efforts. And essentially translating that into human terms, everything you do matters. Every little step you make, every action, no matter how small you think it is, matters in the grand scheme of things, okay? So Brian Tracy's video is great, and essentially the way he describes it. Oftentimes we think that only the things we want to count actually count, right? A good example is like reading a book. We will think that we will only get smarter when we finish reading the entire book, right? We get the whole content of the book soaked up into our bodies. But that is actually not true. Not true at all, right? Every page that you read of said book makes you a little smarter. And when you finish the book, sure, you will know a lot more new things, but is it because you just opened up the book and finished it, or is it because you read those 100 pages one by one? Maybe a book is not the best example, but we'll talk about a bit more examples and how they tie into the law of accumulation in a minute. So one important thing I want to make sure everybody understands is that the law of accumulation works both ways, right? In a positive and a negative way. But obviously the negative and positive law of accumulation presents itself in different ways. The best example that I can give that is almost like a running trend on Real Talk now is exercising, right? Exercising and going to the gym is not an overnight success endeavor. You're not going to go to the gym once and instantly see more definition, you're going to feel stronger, etc. I mean, if you're pumped up, you will look bigger, but that's not the point. If you go to the gym, you fall asleep, next day you will see zero change in your body. I promise you, you will see zero difference. Unless you burn 50,000 calories in one gym session, you're not gonna see any difference in your body whatsoever. But as you keep working out, as you keep taking the steps to progress in the gym, as you stay consistent and make effort to go to the gym every single day, which in this part of the law of accumulation equation is the small effort times consistency equals results. That is one example. If you go to the gym every single day for a span of 3 months, by the end of the 3-month mark, you will look significantly better and feel significantly better. Now, there are caveats to this. Obviously, if your diet is complete garbage and you only eat junk food and you're putting on fat, you're not going to feel great, but I think you get the idea. Now, I want to talk about negative examples, and the best negative example that I can bring up is addiction. Addiction to absolutely anything. Because I feel like how addiction normally starts for a lot of people is you try something once, and then you try it again, and then you try it again, and then you start doing that thing twice a day, and then it just snowballs more and more to the point where you're physically unable to resist that thing. So, in my experience, obviously I made a whole separate video on this, but it was nicotine, and an addiction to particularly nicotine pouches. At first I didn't think I had a problem. I would throw one in once every couple days, maybe once a week, just sitting with friends, so sort of like a small ritual. Then it became a once a day thing, then it became a multiple times a day, and then it got to a point where I was extremely addicted to nicotine. And it wasn't an overnight thing. There are certain substances that elicit such a response from your body that as soon as you try it, you will get addicted. But a lot of our bad habits and these negative examples that we can talk about are brought upon over a significant amount of time. It's not a one-time thing that creates that negative habit. Another good way to visualize the law of accumulation is actually the compound interest formula. I'm sure you've seen one of these pictures somewhere on the internet. 0.1% effort every single day for a year will make you 37 times better versus not making any progress at all. Which is just saying that the smallest bit of effort every day on a consistent basis will make you better at any given task. Which is true, 100%. And I think that's a very interesting way to mathematically look at these things, right? Moving on, right? I think that is a good way to visualize it. Now let's talk about how to put it in action. Now, as I mentioned, the negative and the positive law of accumulation function similarly, but in opposite ways. So what does that mean? If you want to develop a good habit or become more consistent at something, you don't have to go 100% every single day. Now, hold on. I know you might be asking yourself, why not go 100%? Why not try your best? That is not what I mean, okay? As humans, we tend to fail a lot, and failure gets to our head a lot as well. And what needs to be done before you even attempt to start a new endeavor is that you have to change your mindset on failure. You can't think of failure as a stopping point for your journey and the next day to be the new beginning. You must think of failure as a continuation of your journey. And just think about it like this. Failure is progress towards making more progress. If you fail at something, you're automatically learning something else. So, do you ever truly fail? No. You don't. The only thing that happens is you make progress towards making more progress. Now, why am I even talking about this? Making 100% effort every single day could be difficult to a lot of people. If you are not academically savvy and your whole life you haven't studied because you believe that, oh, I'm just not smart, so I'm not going to study in school, well, it might be very difficult for you to just sit down one day and say to yourself, you know what, from now on, every single day, 100% effort, I'm going to study for 10 hours a day. Like, no, that is possible. There are people who can do that, but that is very difficult and very unlikely for anyone to actually follow through with because of frustration, because of things like burnout, right? So what has to be done is small progress over a very significant span of time. And you can regulate the amount of progress you make depending on how you feel, depending on whether you're burning out or not. If you try to become better at academia and you intend to study every single day, maybe start by just taking 30 minutes to an hour of your day to studying a particular subject that you need to become better at. You don't have to sit and learn everything about the subject day one, 10 hours, right? That's just unrealistic. For one, you're not going to retain any of the information you learned, and for two, it's just an ineffective way to learn. You can apply this to absolutely anything in life. If you want to become a cleaner person overall, start by making small efforts to improve your surrounding area, improve your hygiene, eat better. You can make these small efforts over the span of a week, over the span of a year. If you make a consistent effort every single day, by the end of the year, you will not even recognize yourself from the person you were at the beginning of the year. Let's also be realistic though. The effort you make has to be significant enough to the point where over a span of time, it will make progress, right? If you want whiter teeth, it might not be enough to brush your teeth from one side to the other once, period. You go whoop, whoop, that's it. Do you really think that that will make your teeth white in the span of a month or two? Probably not, right? But it will eventually. That is exactly what the law of accumulation speaks about. If you just do that every single day and you don't eat food that, stains your teeth terribly bad, damages your teeth, then you will have white teeth just in a very long time. So that is the positive side of things. Now let's talk about the negative. The negative side of the law of accumulation is dealt with in the same way that you deal with the positive, but literally in reverse. You already have this habit that is bad, detrimental to your health, that you possibly indulge in every single day. So The best way that I can explain this is actually in the same fashion that I managed to quit nicotine. What you do is you reduce the frequency and the strength of whatever it is that you abuse, whatever habit it is. You attempt your best to reduce the frequency of it by a tiny margin every single day. In my case, it was strength and frequency because I was using nicotine pouches, so it was slightly different. But say you're abusing a different substance, right, and you want to quit, why don't you approach it in the same way? You reduce the frequency of usage throughout the day, you reduce the strength if you can, and eventually, over the span of a month, 2 months, 3 months, you will realize that all the effort that you put in to reduce the frequency, to stop doing that habit, is paying off. And it might be very difficult when you don't see consistent progress every day, very similar to the gym, right? You're inclined to give up and you're inclined to stop because, oh, we're not seeing progress, which means we're not doing anything useful. So why are we doing it at all? But you just have to push through and keep going. Believe it or believe me, it was the same for quitting a nicotine addiction. It wasn't easy. And every day when I had cravings and I reduced frequency and I reduced the strength, and at one point I didn't feel anything. There was no buzz from nicotine at all. It was just my body was getting it, so it was satisfied, and that was that. Me, who enjoyed the buzz, was like, oh damn, this sucks. This is terrible. You know, while I'm on this trip, while I'm doing this, maybe I should throw in a nicotine pouch, but no. Progress is made over time. It is not made overnight. There's a great book called Atomic Habits, which I'm sure many of you know about. But all it does is teach you how to develop or destroy habits. Whether it's good, whether it's bad habits, doesn't matter. It gives you systems and guidance on how to deal with those habits. I'm not saying go read the whole book. Many of us don't have the attention span to do that. But just go look at an overview, look up Atomic Habits systems, just research a bit how to make it easier to either develop or break a habit. And those systems that are strong by themselves, with the law of accumulation that is also extremely strong by itself, will fuse into an extremely good method for you to either develop or break a habit. We also have to understand that small efforts do matter, right? Even if they're not visible, even if they're unseen, unappreciated by anybody else, small efforts matter. People always say it's the small things that matter, but when it comes to themselves, when it comes to the things they do with their body and their mind, it seems like they throw that idea out of the window. Every day, when you're walking through life, you're actively making choices. And those choices are either making you progress towards the life you want to live or pushing you further away from it. So if you're walking and you think, oh, maybe there's a McDonald's right next to me, maybe I should go eat some McDonald's. But you're trying to lose weight at the same time. Like, is it really the best decision to go and eat McDonald's, right? Is it really the best idea to go and force feed yourself a bunch of seed oils, a bunch of fat, a bunch of carbs? Like, maybe not. You know, consider that. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with eating junk food once a week, twice a week, whatever, right? If you want to do that, it's your body. But there are also implications to that, and this is exactly what the law of accumulation speaks about. Every small action matters. You don't get to choose what matters and what doesn't. Every small action matters. So if you want to achieve a life that you want to live, consider every choice you make, consider every action you take. It's just important to be more aware. Be more aware of your choices. Be more aware of the actions you take. All decisions matter. This is ultimately what the law of accumulation talks about. All decisions matter. And you don't get to choose which ones do. I feel like oftentimes we forget that the decisions we make do matter a lot. The cumulative effect of those small things ultimately results in whether we get whatever it is that we're chasing after or not. I have one good suggestion for being more conscious about these things, and it is the following exercise. You create an avatar of yourself in 5, in 10, 15, 20, whatever. Let's say 10 years for this example. And you write down exactly what that avatar does. Now, if you right now are not very active, and your avatar in 10 years is a very active person, right? Exercises every day, every other day meditates, just overall very healthy, very sound person. Now, what are you gonna do? You make a decision. Every time you take some sort of action, you think to yourself, is this something that my avatar that you made, right? Is this something that they would do? If it's not, then just don't do it. Just don't do it. If your goal is to become a more clean person, to clean up your room, clean up your surroundings, right? That is what your avatar is. He's a very, very cleanly person. He hates it when there's mess around. Then start considering, oh, I have this Red Bull can, right? When I finish it, am I gonna throw it in the corner of my room, or am I gonna go walk over to the trash can and throw it in the trash can? Or am I gonna stack it somewhere on the edge of my table and just accumulate more and more and more until my whole room is stacked with cans? Like, no, right? That is not something you want to do if your goal is to be more cleanly. So yeah, guys, this was Real Talk episode 5. I found this very interesting to talk about and script. If you guys have any suggestions for other videos that I should do, feel free to make requests to me personally through DMs or YouTube, whatever, right? Just, that is that. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.